here is currently involved in a startup? Okay, well, that's about almost half of the room. You guys arguing about whether you're in a startup or not? Okay. All right. Let's just start off by, if you could say a couple words about what you're working on right now. You know, what is Inventure up to?
We're a Nordic and Baltic focused fund. We have a fund that's 120 million euros. We've about to close our 20th deal in 2 years. So fairly active,
yeah, that's nice.
So yes, Thunderbeam, we started in Copenhagen about a year ago. So what's up with us is that we're trying to establish our firm in Scandinavia and the Nordics. As Runa mentioned before, we still haven't had any startups that are from Sweden, so that's something that we're working hard on, and hopefully in Q1 next year we'll be in Sweden, so you all get to invest in your home market.
Chris, what's going on?
Yeah, so Brightly, we just raised a new fund, 60 million euros or so. We aim to invest that in Swedish seed stage startups, investing between 5 and 15 million SEK in first rounds. Yeah, looking for great teams in big market opportunities.
Yeah, because that's one of the first questions that I am always curious about is really what do you look for in a startup?
So we look for strong teams, as I'm sure you would both agree with. We like when there's a certain uniqueness to it. We like when there's sort of perhaps a unique skill set with the founders, or a unique product or something like that. That's really a soft spot for us. We look for big market opportunities, things that can scale globally, stuff like that. We look a lot at fintech, we look a lot at esports, but we can really invest across a lot of different sectors, so we're quite broad like that.
Have you ever invested in just a single founder?
No, not yet, no.
Just teams, yeah.
Yeah, we probably prefer teams.
Yeah.
And we would probably ask, like, why should we back you if you cannot get your friends to back you and help you out to fulfill your journey? But we could probably do that, but it would probably be, all things being equal, it would probably be harder for us.
Yeah. Yeah, Maretta, what excites Thunderbeam the most, you know, if you're encouraging someone to join the platform, like what do they?
Well, I mean, we have the same as you do. If it's an exciting team, of course, that's something that we look at. But for us, I mean, we also have to think about the investors. We're fiduciaries to two parts of the value chain, so basically for the startups, but also for the investors. So we have to make a match between our platform of investors, but also the startups. So in that sense, we have to make sure that it makes sense, basically, what the startup is doing. Is there a problem that they're trying to solve? Is it scalable? Does it make sense? Do they have the team that can actually do that? And for us, we can't really have too complex solutions usually. It has to be easily understandable. It can be complex, as long as you can sell it to the big market. Of course, you can also, if you do equity crowdfunding or a syndicate crowdfunding, you can also have a pool of investors bring together, and then we syndicate their investment. But still, it's not us that are fundraising for ourselves. We're fundraising or helping others to invest their money. So we have to think about that.
Good, very good. And Linus, what does Inventure look for? Or what are you personally? How many people are in Inventure?
So we're 10 all in.
10, okay.
Yeah, 10. 2 here in Stockholm, then 8 in Helsinki.
Because I imagine your colleagues look for a little bit different things than you might look for.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're generalists in that sense, because obviously we're sort of restricted on a geoscope, so we don't... Sure, we go out and talk about certain areas where we're sort of more experienced and so on. Like, we've done a ton in mobility and connectivity and these sort of deep tech areas, but I mean, at the same time, our most highest valuable company is a pure consumer play. So we do sort of everything sort of across the board. I think that the main thing that probably excites us is I mean, as VCs, our job is to find the outliers, not the ones that are just ticking away and are doing okay. That's just not for us, right? We're looking for the ones that can grow 20, 30, 40x. That's our job. That's why we have money to invest, right? So I think what we're trying to find is unique individuals and teams that basically are jumping out of a cliff and basically building an airplane while they're in the air. And what I mean with that is you have to, as an entrepreneur, as a team, you basically have to convince people about something that you don't have today, but you're going to get them excited, so excited about your vision of what you're going to build, you can convince people to jump ship from a Klarna or from a Spotify or whatever it might be. Those are the people we're looking for. The ones that really can sort of, whenever we get excited, it's because somehow in a super early stage is very risky, right? And we're trying to find the small bits and pieces that makes it a little bit more de-risked. So if we find a team and we're like, shit, you don't have a CTO, 2 weeks later they come back and say like, actually I hired this guy and I worked with him for 10 years. I just didn't sell it well enough before now. Okay, good, that's a good start. And then you go and say, you guys don't have any advisors that are sort of proper with great experience in your industry. Come back 2 weeks later and they have got sort of 2 insane people from the US and Asia. Those are the people who can actually it sounds harsh, but we invest in the 0.1%, right? Not the 99%.
Yeah.
I think one thing just to kind of add to that is that everyone looks for different things too, right? That so even though I might say something or Linus might say something, it could be like completely different answers if you go to other investors. And like some investors spend a lot of time just looking at metrics, and this is like not something that we do so much. We look more at other factors, and I think I would be very careful to build my company after what particular investors require, because it's better to shoot broad and try to find the right investor for you. It might not be VC, it could be something else.
So I kind of wanted to kind of make a merge between the two of you. So I think it's of course as a startup you have to really believe in your idea, and I mean that's what sets you apart, but you also have to be willing to adapt and change and listen to others. So don't forget who you are, but you have to have a plan that can be somehow switched. So for example, if an investor says you should get a CTO, might be a good idea. So it's this balance that you also need to find.
I would never lie, it's always good to have a CTO.
And what should these entrepreneurs be, or these startups be looking for in an investor? Like if you move to the other side of the table.
I can go. I've been on the other side. VCs are horrible, by the way.
That's right, you have been on the other side.
I have been on the other side. That was tough. No, but I think there's a couple of things as an entrepreneur, right? You should take as many references on us as we do on you, and don't look for the cases that are doing well. So whenever a company I tell you today that's doing really well, those are not the companies you want to ask. You want to know the ones that failed, the ones that sort of completely tanked. Those are the best sort of references to take. We will do that on any entrepreneur we sort of start to engage with. So that's obviously step number 1. Number 2, if they don't give you help before they invest, they usually will not help that much after either. Sure, and it might be that you don't need that much help. Phenomenal. Do your thing. Run with the money. Whatever. However, if you're looking for someone to actually be a little bit hands-on, then obviously check out that they're actually hands-on. We always get the question, how do we add value, right? And the thing is, we're all going to say something that sounds like we add value, but there's nothing really tangible there. You have to figure that out for yourself, if it's actually true or not. And the only way to do that is actually talk to people that we work with. That's how we differentiate. So you talk to CEOs or boards we're part of. Do we actually do shit or not?
Interesting.
From an equity crowdfunding perspective, of course, it's a bit different because basically what we do, we get the crowd together. So there, what you get is basically the mass. So for example, we have a feature. So when you're an investor and you want to indicate into a specific campaign we have, you can actually add there and say, hey, I can help this company in this and this or this way. And some of our startups actually really find this valuable. Sometimes they can say, I'll buy your product. I mean, that's also good. I mean, you get some revenue, right? So that's something that we can help out with. And also, I mean, with the reach, we're a global platform, so that's what equity crowdfunding can also do if you want to come into different markets.
Just reverting back to your question, Peter, like all these players that you mentioned, they can bring different things to the table too, right? VCs tend to be more general and sort of being able to help out a lot with financing and maybe particular areas of building a company, whereas you can find angels that are, of course, really good at specific things that might be really good for your particular startup at this particular time. And the corporate VCs could also help out in different ways, you know, connecting you to the mothership, and media for equity could also be a track for some companies. It really depends on matching. Like, there's really not a one size fits all, I think. And it's a lot about the people too at the firms, rather than the...
What's the delineation between the two? Like, if you're looking at, like, what defines angel, the range that an angel most likely will put in versus when you're going to go to the VC?
I think it can vary. And I think there are other parameters that matter too, right? Like, what competence are you looking for?
Yeah.
That might motivate you to actually go to an angel, even though you could get a VC, right? And if you are a more slow-growing company, you expect to grow at 3x, then the cost of capital of a venture capital firm won't make that possible, right? But an angel might be able to do that, as Linus mentioned.
But for a dollar amount, you know, if a startup has 100,000 crowns as what they need, and if that's in their slide deck, they should not be going to a VC.
I mean, I think it depends on...
Or a million, I guess. I think in dollars, like...
But like, if the problem, I think that if your cap table gets too long, right, the angels that you bring in, you need to bring in more angels to fill that. And when you get to a certain point, it's harder perhaps for angels to feel ownership over this, since your cap table is too long and they're all so very diluted, right?
Yeah.
But a VC could be one active owner in that situation. So when you start to feel that your cap table is getting too long, and for you to fill that round with angels, then it might be a good opportunity to go to a VC, for example. But there are other factors too that matter, not just the size.
Yeah. Cap table meaning capitalization table, lists everyone that has equity in your company.
I would say under 5 million, then don't even bother thinking about going to VC. On average, there's obviously like exceptions to this rule, but like you have clear pre-seed funds, etc. But usually, you just look at the fund size of a specific fund. Would it make sense for them to invest 2 million SEK if they have a billion Swedish kronor under management? No, it will not.
And why is that? See, they don't realize the time that it takes for every little deal. You can't just do 1,000 little deals during the year.
No,
you know?
A 2 million check takes as much time as a 10 million check or a 30 million check as well.
Because you still have your due diligence.
You still
don't
do
wanna
due
just throw
diligence.
the
You
money
work with the
away.
company. You're there supporting them. It takes just this amount of money. I mean, so on average, for less than 5, I would only go for angels or various kind of like credit loans, that kind of solution. Personally, I don't know what your ticket size is, by the way.
We usually say that we don't take ticket sizes under 100,000 euros because it doesn't make sense with the fees that we have. So if you want to get something out of it, that's what we say. But maybe when you start your fundraising, I mean, think about, for example, what is the free money you can get? So are there some government grants or EU grants or that would make sense for you so that you can get started, innovation funds? I mean, this is just some things to think about, and then you can maybe try to find an angel that also can give you some good advice and that you have a good chemistry with, and then you should start talking with if crowdfunding is something that works for you, fair enough. If you want to go to VCs, that can also, but make sure to have a good plan of your fundraising. So don't start fundraising when you need the money next month. That's not a good plan. So always think like 6 months or ideally like 12 months ahead.
Yeah, you don't want to just be fundraising all the time either. So you got to give yourself a bit of a runway, right?
I think the other part, go out and raise less than you actually want potentially. It's always easier to get a round up, but if you start off saying you need 50 million SEK, well, in fact, you only needed 10, that's going to be really hard sell down the line. So if you want, like, my latest deal I did was a company that came in, they actually wanted 5. Just because I said, don't come to me then. They
Don't
came.
come to me for less than
no,
5.
right?
Well,
And
you told them that probably,
no,
right?
no, and we didn't invest 5. We
Yeah.
ended up raising around, I think it was 12 in the end,
Oh.
because you were like, "There's no way you're gonna last with 5 million in this company. So if we're gonna do it, we're gonna give it a real shot." And then we pumped it up, and then we brought on board some other ones, because you need the runway, you need those sort of 18 months to run.
Yeah.
But then you also have to think about what is your company actually worth. How much can you give away from your company? So you shouldn't be giving too much too soon, because let's say that you have had maybe 3 rounds and you've given out 60% of your company. What is the motivation if you're a team of 5 to keep on going? I mean, that's also probably something I, as an investor, would want to have. Like, you want to have motivated founders and team.
Yeah, that can be a big problem, giving away too much.
But no company ever has been worth what we pay for it. Ever.
Yeah.
Like in the history of mankind, has it never been worth the money. So I think it's always about that. I mean, like, if I invest in a company and they don't raise the next round and the next round and the next round, then I'm not doing my job. Like, I'm taking a shortcut to get ownership and fucking up the company. Of course, like, we model this out.
Yeah. But they're going to be worth, hopefully, what you paid. And then way beyond
That's
that.
the bet,
100
right?
times.
And
100 times.
100 times that, yeah.
Yeah. Chris, what was your number again for the
5 actually.
ticket?
5, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. Yeah, I thought you said something about that.
Less than 5, right?
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
exactly 5.
Yeah.
You
But
can come to me if you want.
yeah. But
No,
would
but
you
here's
do?
exactly the thing, right? It all depends on who you go to. If you go to,
Yeah.
to Chris, then it's going to be 5. It'll be less for you. And for me, my starting point is 5.
Yeah.
So,
So if you're asking for 5, it's perfect tonight, right?